For my part, I know nothing with any certainty, but the sight of the stars makes me dream.
The Interplanetary Podcast. The exploration of space for the benefit of all mankind. Your hosts here in London, Matthew Russell and Jamie Franklin.
Matt, do you know who that was?
I don't know who it was.
It's only VVG, Vincent van Gogh.
Vincent van Gogh.
Is it Gough or Go?
I don't know.
Oh God!
Oh no!
We're going to get corrected again,
Vincent
aren't we? I'm going to say Go because I think you are right. I've instantly corrected
Vincent
myself.
van Gogh. I think it's probably something
I've
like
been
that.
to his museum in lovely Amsterdam, and it was wonderful.
Yeah, we didn't go, did we? When we went to Amsterdam, we went to
We went
to the more modern city,
which was
museum.
amazing, wasn't it?
Amazing museum.
If you're in Amsterdam, head down.
Yeah, I should post the picture of the Elon Musk floor rug that was there. That was I should post that because that was a good one.
You absolutely need to do that. So, how are you, Matt? What's going on?
I'm quite tired. I've been working, busy.
Yes,
as you know.
Oh yeah.
But I'm about to go on old Christmas holidays, Jamie. After this, I've got a week.
Nice.
I've got a week of shows.
Yeah.
And then boom. Holiday time.
Oh.
So we can be really busy. And we've got loads of guests lined up for that period. So I'm really chuffed. But tonight we're going to play the second part of the David Baker chat.
Classic DB.
The Dr. David Baker, yeah.
Excellent stuff.
It's all about Mars Base Camp, which he's a massive fan of.
I love that he's a massive fan of it because do you know who else is, Matt?
Who?
Me.
I
really am. Matt, what do you think my chances are of going?
I think they've increased because of people like Lockheed
You
coming
reckon?
up with Mars Base Camp.
I still think that I will go. I still think that I'll be able to go into space. I don't know in what capacity.
I think to Mars because
I think, a private company, Virgin Galactic, by the time I'm 76, we've talked about this.
Yeah.
I think I'll be able to afford it.
Do you know what? There was I remember a program about 15 years ago going on about how when they do choose astronauts to go to Mars, because of the radiation risk, they will choose older astronauts because it won't matter so much that they've got this cancer-inducing radiation because, of course, their cells are dividing slower, and so there's actually less risk as you get older.
Yes.
And, of course, you've got less time for those to develop. So that's been the great hope for me, is that maybe I'll get in just purely on my age,
Purely on your age, yeah.
let alone my ability.
You'll be the first octogenarian in space.
Yeah, so why not? Why not? Why not indeed?
Lovely. So what's been going on this week?
Well, this week, everything I'm writing about in this week's podcast, everything that I've put in the notes, Jamie, have been things that have been interactions that I've had on Twitter. That's the thing I love on Twitter. It's still, I think, my major source of news. I think there's some people write some really interesting things.
It's a good community on there. It
is a good community, and the one that really came out and sprung out, and I know you love this topic, is that space.com had an article about lightning bolts are churning out antimatter all over the planet.
Oh, yes.
And there was a beautiful picture of purple lightning and everything.
I'm looking at it now. It's absolutely stunning.
And we've had this on the show before. All the strange effects that lightning has. When I posted this, though, another tweeter called Dennis Wingo or Wingod.
That is a great name.
Yeah, he instantly jumped on it and said, "We have known about this for 25 years since the BATSI results on the Gamma Ray Observatory." And I thought, I should really know about that. So I've looked it up. So I've looked up the Gamma Ray Observatory, or to give it its full title, the Compton Gamma Ray Observatory.
Nice.
And a bit like Hubble, it was part of the major observatories that NASA built, essentially.
Right.
Called the Great Observatories, I should say. And it cost $617 million. And it went up after Hubble. And, of course, we've talked about another of the great observatories, the Chandra X-ray Observatory.
We have.
And we've also occasionally mentioned the Spitzer Space Telescope.
Yeah.
The reason, if you really want to hear about the Chandra, go back and listen to our interview with Jonathan McDowell. He's obviously really ace on Twitter. If you ever follow McDowell on Twitter, he really always has the scoop. So
he's a good one.
He's a good one. So we've talked about all of those. In fact, we haven't really talked about Hubble that much, have we? But this one, we very, very rarely talked about the Compton Gamma Ray Observatory.
That's true.
But it was deployed into low Earth orbit at about 450 kilometres high, 280 miles. And so that's below the Van Allen belt, a tad higher than the International Space Station. And at the time, it was the heaviest astrophysical payload ever flown.
Jeez.
At 17 tons. So that's, it's a big old thing.
It's a chunk.
Yeah. And it flew up on April the 5th, 1991 on STS-37 and was only deorbited on June the 4th, 2000.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and since then it's been, obviously, a few other spacecraft have gone up. Notably, ESA have put Integral up, that has launched in 2002, that does a lot of the work that the Compton Gamma Ray Observatory did. But it had 4 instruments on board, and one of them was the Batsy, which is what Wingod mentioned in his post. So Batsy looked out for, in fact, it stands for the Burst and Transient Source Experiment.
Jesus.
So it's looking for gamma ray bursts.
Matt, that's not your average experiment.
No. Well, there's 4 non-average experiments. Batsy, Egret, Comptel and Ossie, all doing different things.
Right.
But Batsy had this strange thing. It was looking for gamma ray bursts, and it would find quite a few bursts per day, approximately 2,700 each day. And it showed for the first time, definitively, that all these gamma ray bursts were originating in very, very distant galaxies and not in the Milky Way. So they must have been enormously energetic. So the work it did was incredibly important. And so were the other experiments. They all did pretty amazing things. So one of the things that Batsy did do, which was really cool, it kind of detected gamma ray flashes that actually came from lightning storms.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they made the connection between lightning storms and these gamma ray flashes that were terrestrial in nature.
Yeah.
So it actually happened on Earth, and in these gamma ray bursts, flashes of lightning, it creates antimatter as well, positrons and electrons at the same time. So what's really weird is not all lightning strikes are doing it, only certain types of lightning strikes. So it only saw 76 of these events in 9 years. Saying that, it was looking for gamma ray bursts in outer space, so it's not surprising that it didn't detect them all. But another satellite, or called RISI, started observing these terrestrial gamma ray bursts, and showed that there was approximately 50 of these every day.
Really?
Yeah. But that is still only a small fraction of lightning on Earth.
I was going to say, if you think of all the storms.
Yeah, well, there's 3 to 4 million lightning events per day on Earth.
What?
I know. It's just
3
crazy,
to 4
isn't
million per day.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And it says, however, the number may be much higher than that due to the possibility of flashes in the form of narrow beams that would be difficult to detect, or the possibility that a large number of these gamma ray bursts, terrestrial gamma ray bursts, may be generated at altitudes too low for the gamma rays to escape the atmosphere.
That's an amazing stat. You know, Matt, once I was on a plane coming back from Hong Kong, where I was on holiday, and have you ever seen a lightning storm from the air?
No, I haven't.
It's one of the most amazing things I've ever seen, / terrifying, because, I mean, our plane just kept dropping like these, where it just drops, and it was the most nasty bit of turbulence. But when it kind of passed and I was looking back on it, it was beautiful, just clouds on the same level as you, lighting up from the inside. Amazing.
Did you see any purple lightning coming up? That would have been
amazing. I didn't
amazing.
see any purple lightning, no.
No, I mean, that's just that's the greatest. Imagine getting a photo of that. No, I have been above a lightning storm. I was in Mallorca, and I'd climbed a pretty high mountain up to go to see a monastery, and I could look down into the town of Inca, and I was above a lightning storm that was over the town of Inca, which looked absolutely incredible. Yeah, it looked amazing. So, I've been above it, but not in a plane.
You didn't go and take cover under a tree, did you, Matt?
No, I was above it. It was beautiful sunshine at the top of this, at the top of the mountain. It was beautiful, and I'd literally had the greatest lamb meal I'd ever had in my life, like slow cooked lamb in a farmhouse cooked by the little old lady farmer halfway up this mountain in Mallorca. Thoroughly recommend it.
And did you get to meet the monks?
No, it was an old ruin of a monastery at the top there.
Oh.
Yeah.
I was hoping someone would give you some life advice that would just set you on your way, Matt.
Yeah. No, I got no advice whatsoever. Other than
not that you'll get that from a monk. Maybe you will.
No,
I don't know.
They might tell me to slow my life down. And Matt, why haven't you eaten
Matt,
today?
I have foreseen that you need to start a podcast that will change the very revolution of space and time.
Open your mind.
It's a very creepy monk just there. So what else has been happening?
Well, what else has been happening? So we can have a few news stories if you like.
Oh, yes, please.
The one news story that I was absolutely gutted about when we finished last week's podcast.
Oh, I know what you're going to say. Mad Mike. I really wanted him to go up.
You know, because we didn't do launches of the week last week, and of course we should have done that one.
So I know that the government stopped this, but are they stopping it full stop? Are they not letting him launch? Or are they just stopping it? Because can't he just go to a different location? Or will he just do it anyway?
No, he could do it anyway. But I imagine they're stopping it because it's just downright dangerous.
It was completely dangerous, yeah.
Like just, you can't just go and do things that you're quite likely to die doing. Not in the modern world. You might be able to go and
I don't wish him any harm, but I'm more worried about him endangering other people than killing himself to prove the Earth is flat.
What I don't understand is it only goes 1,800 feet in the air. So surely that's not as high as some tall buildings, is it?
But then presumably isn't that his master plan, that he's going to go up and go, no, it's flat. I didn't see the globe.
It's just really weird. I mean, the whole thing's idiotic to say the least. But
embarrassing, isn't it?
But it would have been quite funny had he have done it.
But I would have absolutely have loved it.
But of course, I suppose him being shut down is going to be, just feed the conspiracy theory, isn't it? In fact, maybe
Matt,
did it on purpose.
Did you see online? There was a wonderful conversation with Musk, and he put up a tweet that said, "Why is there no Flat Mars Society?" And I thought that was great. And actually, then he started to get into a conversation with the Flat Earth Society, and it's such a great read. I implore you to go and hunt down a few tweets ago from old Musk. And check out the conversation he had with the Flat Earth Society. It's brilliant.
Oh, I am definitely going.
They are. I tell you what, Matt. They are nothing if not tenacious. But what a great tweet!
Yeah, no, totally. I tell you what else happened in the week.
Go on.
To do with launches, which is pretty bad for the Russians.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, the Russian government were launching a Soyuz with their Russian
Anatoly Zak.
Well, Anatoly Zak, who is a friend of Dr. David Baker's, they've written stuff together. He's kind of basically the Russian equivalent of David. He actually, on his website, a possible reason why this catastrophe may have happened. So, a Soyuz rocket taking off from, of course, the new Vostochny spaceport. It's only the second Soyuz rocket mission from the Vostochny spaceport. And as we know, Vostochny spaceport was the one where Putin came down and everyone got the sack and probably ended up in some terrible work camp out in Siberia because it was all behind schedule and everything. So it's highly controversial in the first place. And it's supposed to be this glistening, beautiful new spaceport, the jewel in Russia's space program. And this is a total blow, particularly when you hear how embarrassing the possible cause for it might be. So this was a Soyuz 2 rocket, custom built for the Vostochny facility, and on top of that is a Fregat upper stage, Fregat upper stage, and it was making its inaugural flight from that launch site, and it seemed to be performing perfectly well, but then the Fregat upper stage basically didn't end up where it was supposed to be, so they lost communication with it. Now, it seems what happened was the Fregat upper stage had been programmed as if it was being launched from Bakhmut or Plesetsk. And so it basically thought, where the heck am I? And started making manoeuvres to sort of go to get itself in the right position. And of course, as soon as the thrusters all powered up, it's just basically flung itself back into the atmosphere. And one of the things that was absolutely brilliant was a tweet from a British air hostess that I saw. I think she's called That Jet City Girl or something. And she had some footage that was sent to her by an airline pilot friend of hers of this Soyuz apparently of the Fregat re-entering and all burning up in the atmosphere with
I remember seeing that.
With basically this Meteor M2-1 polar orbiting weather satellite. That is a very, very, very expensive mistake, because that satellite, the Meteor M2-1, was huge. It's a huge old bird. So,
someone's in trouble.
Total cock-up.
What a shame.
Yeah. So
unlucky Russia.
Unlucky Russia. Jamie.
On to the next one.
Jamie.
Yeah.
The Interplanetary Podcast. Putting the ace back into space.
Into space! Still can't get over it. I'm sorry.
No, it's too good.
I'm sorry. It's just too good.
I've got some other very quick stories that we can rattle through here, because one's pretty depressing. Ready? Falcon Heavy debut slips to January. Surprise!
Why can't they just say it's going to be January?
Nah,
don't excite us.
It's a good job we didn't buy tickets, eh?
Yeah, that's true.
Good job we didn't buy tickets 3 years ago, 2 years ago, 1 year ago, 1 month ago, 1 month's time. January.
What a bunch of procrastinators.
They're saying that January is pretty... We're now in December. January is pretty near, so...
Pinch punch first of the month.
Ow!
Mate. Sorry about that.
And one of our favourites, old Rocket Lab.
Oh, yeah.
They're gearing up to have another launch from New Zealand in December, so soon. So that's one for us and old Bob Richards to look out for.
Yes.
Orbital ATK stockholders approve merger with Northrop Grumman. So that's a big move in the old space hardware industry. So that's big.
One that I'm not familiar with.
Oh, come on.
Or bothered about. Sorry, man. I'm sorry, but I'm just not.
Come on.
Give me something spicy.
Give you something spicy? Well, it was 50 years ago that Jocelyn Bell discovered pulsars. And
now you're talking.
Yeah, and basically that changed our entire view of the universe.
See, Matt, do you see the difference there?
Yeah, no, to be fair. And Jocelyn Bell, what an absolute legend.
It's all about JB.
It is all about JB, and a lot, bit of an unsung hero in many ways, but that's, I think, thankfully to kind of revisionist history, she's becoming more and more famous and getting the recognition she deserves. I mean, who cares about Nobel Prizes?
Well, I know, that is true. I mean, really, does it matter?
Well, I'll tell you, Richard Feynman didn't care about Nobel Prizes. He just thought it was silly. He genuinely didn't get it. It was like, well, so what? My prize is the fact that I uncovered like unique physics. Nothing to do with like this medal. What?
No, the people don't need. These people don't need these things.
No.
It's like when Bowie got offered, to be made Sir. He's like, well, why? Don't really get it.
I like it. I like that we can bring this to Bowie.
Oh, it has to be done.
Bringing it to David Bowie.
Praise be.
Jamie, I've done something marvellous in space, but I don't want a Nobel Prize for it.
That's scarily good, Matthew.
Thanks.
Well done. Matt, the UKSpace launch programme receives 50 million boost in government's industrial strategy. That's got to be good news.
No, yeah. So this is all linked in with with the UK Space Agency are trying to push for a kind of native launch facility. So that's really good news that it's become part of the government's industrial, overall industrial strategy. So another 50 million quid towards maybe the UK recovering its ability to launch things into space, which will be a first and never to be repeated. We got in there and then we came out again. So there we go.
Exactly.
Awesome.
Exactly.
Do you know, I was going to talk about Mary Sherman Morgan, but we just don't have time, do we?
We just don't have time. We've got part 2 DB coming up.
So shall we listen to David Baker now? And then when we finish that, we'll have a great space fact for you.
We need a space fact.
So, a good day at David Baker.
The Interplanetary Podcast is alive!
And NASA's not going to pay Elon Musk to develop SpaceX products to preempt something they've already spent billions of dollars on themselves.
Because on the surface, obviously, all the space geeks, I guess, would kind of look at SLS in particular and just sort of perceive it as being a continual delay. And a lot of people, of course, have been blaming NASA for the delays in the SpaceX and Boeing manned programs as well.
That's right, yes. And I think one of the problems has been with a lot of those competing contenders is the fact that it has been reliant on NASA money going through. And Congress controls NASA's purse strings. And it has to be said that because Congress itself had ordered up this huge SLS/Orion, that they were not totally enamored about a lot of government money also going to subsidize these commercial contenders, because they were paying for 2 space programs, essentially. And while the economic argument was self-evidently positive in the value that these commercial contractors have, because right at the end of the process, the bill is cheaper than it would be had it been developed in-house by NASA. But NASA has subsidized at the behest of the government, who controls NASA funding. I mean, this is something that really is often forgotten, the fact that NASA can only get what it can argue for taken out of the national coffers. And the most important thing on that is that it has to be demonstrated that its investment in the commercial contractors is actually saving the taxpayer money. And it's worked like that so far. But none of these commercial contenders, Orbital ATK with Cygnus and SpaceX with Dragon and SpaceX with the Falcon launch system, all of those have come off the back of commercial money that has come from the government. And none of these people, they may very well be very wealthy billionaires, but you're going into a whole different wealth band which is outside the capabilities of any single individual. I don't know, probably Bill Gates has enough money, but very few people indeed who would not. And there are few investment opportunities that very, very high-priced and extremely effective accountants would advise Elon Musk to put the tens of billions which is required to get a Mars mission off NASA, and the American taxpayer certainly isn't going to pay Elon Musk tens of billions of dollars to do this, and he's never developed anything yet which has not been subsidized by the American taxpayer.
That's an extremely good point.
And so there is a limit, which is why these others are being more conservative. And Jeff Bezos is not talking about manned missions to Mars except as providing the services. But the interesting thing on this is that eventually, I think it's fairly self-evident, that eventually NASA will get into the business of flying Space Launch System, flying Orion, and it is here that the major industrial manufacturing monopolists like Boeing and Lockheed Martin, this is where they have their real chance, because they, with much fatter profits and pockets than any of these smaller contenders who have done stonkingly wonderful service, like SpaceX and Jeff Bezos and Orbital and all those people, nevertheless, when it comes to actually integrating, whereas SpaceX is going wholly exclusively on its own investment opportunities without subsidy from anybody else. Lockheed Martin is aligning its plans for lunar and Mars exploration with the mission architecture that NASA itself has proposed is the way it wants to go. So it's really being very clever, Lockheed Martin, in locking in that they're providing, just as the smaller contenders like SpaceX and Orbital provide the infrastructure support for existing NASA programs like the space station, Lockheed Martin and companies like Boeing are supporting at a much bigger and more substantive level the big ticket traffic, which is Earth to Moon, Earth to Mars. And it's in this concept that these new proposals from, to a certain extent, SpaceX with BFR, and of course now with Lockheed Martin, which has just unveiled its very interesting Mars shuttle, which we can call it. There's Lockheed Martin Mars Ascent and Descent Vehicle, the MADV, which is a really neat idea. And in supporting a Mars base that's not on the surface, but is in Mars orbit, the Mars base camp that Lockheed Martin speak about is in Mars orbit, so that all operations start and finish at the base camp in Mars orbit, and that is a really, really neat shift in the way that people have been looking at how you do the exploration on the surface.
Was it? It's Buzz Aldrin, wasn't it, that proposed having a base on Phobos? Or
yes, and there's great interest in those moons. NASA has just chosen an instrument for the Japanese spacecraft that in the 2020s will dock with the moons of Mars. And so there's a growing awareness that really Mars orbit operations, because the amount of energy you need to get to Mars is less than the energy it takes to get up into Earth orbit. And you're adding another huge energy component in going down to the surface. So once you've got what NASA is describing as the Deep Space Gateway, which will be launched on Exploration Mission 3, so essentially, looking back at what is being planned right now, there is Exploration Mission 1, which is the first SLS flight, Unmanned Orion. There is then Science Mission 1, which will qualify the new upper stage without a crew, the Europa Clipper orbiter, and then Exploration Mission 2 will carry the Deep Space Gateway on this big new upper stage, but Orion will not dock with it. It will be like the lunar module, essentially, and the Apollo spacecraft. They'll go together on the same rocket, and they'll go into moon orbit, but the Deep Space Gateway is basically a space station module, which can be entered after Orion has docked to it. But they won't dock on that mission. The docking will come on Exploration Mission 3, when they'll then start to fit it out. And Deep Space Gateway will then be, using electric propulsion, the configuration that you can shift to orbit around Mars without the need to develop any more hardware at all. Whereas if you're going for Mars, you've got to do the whole lot. You've got to do the transport system, the habitation system, because Orion can only support 4 people for 3 weeks. And you've got to have a lander system. And the lander system alone for getting from Mars orbit to the surface is as big a technological investment as all of the rest of it put together.
So really, I mean, the takeaway from that is that it's an extremely positive right now for NASA, SLS, and Lockheed Martin and Boeing in terms of the fact that they've aligned themselves correctly with this entire launch system and the whole architecture. That how you see it panning out in the next, say, 15 years.
Where is the biggest money in telecommunications? It's being a service provider. That's exactly what Boeing and Lockheed Martin want to be to NASA. They don't want to be the whole tamale, as what you used to say.
Yeah.
SpaceX does. Jeff Bezos does. Although they're beginning now to line up and say, well, we can be the heavy lifters supporting the infrastructure that's needed, the logistical supply. And I think the default position is going to be, we are going to need these SpaceX's and Orbitals and Jeff Bezos and all these new operations. We're really going to be reliant on them to provide the logistical replenishment for the infrastructure that will be mainstreamed by the American taxpayer through NASA on the SLS, Orion, Deep Space Gateway, and the Mars Base Camp. And I see that while the big manufacturers like Lockheed Martin, which is building Orion anyway, along with the European Space Agency that's building the service module for Orion. I mean, this is revolutionary anyway, the fact that for the first time in the history of American manned spaceflight, an American manned space vehicle is not being built exclusively in the United States. Half of it's being built in Europe, the service module. So there's already, all the balls are being thrown up in the air. Where they come down, I think, is best positioned through that alignment of commonality of agreement across all those various factors. But really, the enabling technology is going to be, I believe, the ability for these SpaceX's and Jeff Bezos and people like that to be able to provide heavy lift that will resupply, replenish the Deep Space Gateway around the moon, because it's not just going to go away as a place to stay, and then there will be, with consolidation of this space transportation system, whether it's electric propulsion or thermonuclear, we're going to be able to graft onto the top as an overlay on the transportation infrastructure all of the support provisions that these companies have been doing to the International Space Station for several years now. It's merely going to be moving it further out into the solar system. The template is there, it's working. Now, although they've been subsidized by government, they're up and running on low contract prices, doing it much cheaper than NASA, but NASA is best fitted for this big heavy lift role with these big mega mission objectives. And I think where people once before said new space is the future, old space has had it, that they missed the point that in fact it's a convergence of the two, and each needs the other, and neither can work without its opposite.
But as a completely different point, where do China and other space nations fit into this? I mean, I can see that Russia has already made an agreement with America and helping out with the Deep Space Gateway. But how did China fit in with all this?
Well, China is one of those great big conundrums, because technologically, one would say that precedent supports the view that whatever they set their minds to, a little bit like America in the immediate post-war years, that they can achieve and they will achieve. But I think it's going to take them a lot longer. We're already seeing, and this is by no means a negative comment, I would love to see China integrated much more into a fully international campaign for supporting both lunar exploration and Mars exploration. So looking clinically just at the technology challenges that they have, their new launch vehicles and their equivalent to the Space Launch System is running into technical problems. They are already putting back by several years the claimed dates when they want to start sending humans to the moon. And I think they're going to be suffering the same kind of problems that I think any new aspirant spacefaring nation has, in that you can spear off doing individual spectacular missions, but when it comes to supporting a very, very big program with a lot of sustained infrastructure, it takes a lot longer to do it. NASA found that to its great, great cost when it staggered and limped its way toward the development of a big international space station. Starved of funds, admittedly, so it wasn't given the resources it needed, but it's always taken longer to do those things that seem so easy to write on the billboards of public relations advertising. And I think that China is, to an extent, following down that track. So they will get there, I'm sure. How much they want to achieve in the long term will depend on how effectively it fits in with their national program of development. And one of the interesting things is, instead of looking up the lane, down the road, from a space-centric perspective, if you turn the whole issue its other way up and look down upon the investments that China is making across the board, they have aspirations to be the first and the best and the biggest in many, many sectors. They are putting 2.5 times the amount of money into the world's largest supercomputer chains than the United States is. They're outspending already to the ceiling of their investment capabilities, and they are the world's largest detonation, remember, their whole economic strength is built on debt processing. They have taken almost all of American dollar debt and are processing operations through that as part of the big international financial networks. They are only going to have limited resources to be able to achieve their most vibrant aspirations in each of these technological and scientific sectors. They cannot do everything right across the board. This was where America became very deluded, thinking it could be the best of everybody, in control of everybody, all over the planet. And there were aspirations for it to be that, in order to control the template on conflict and on resolution of national disputes at proxy war level, and found that it just couldn't afford everything. It couldn't afford both the Vietnam War and to keep Apollo going. And literally Apollo sank because of the cost of everything. Johnson's health, education and welfare program never got off the ground because of the cost of both the Vietnam War and what all these technological aspirations were achieving. So it was the shell game. It was being moved around according to where the most opportune development track appeared. So when you look top-down across all of these technological aspirations, and then we look at their space program, so much else will have to go by the board, and their budget's going to have to go very, very much bigger if they're going to fulfill what they're advertising as their aspirations. And they're running into technological problems directly, specifically. Large diameter tank welding on this new launch vehicle is going seriously south in terms of capabilities. They put back 5 years the date by which they're now quietly put back 5 years the date that they wanted to actually start their moon landing operations, now into the 2030s rather than sometime in the mid-2020s. And this is indicative.
Wow.
This is not a criticism. This is not a distinctive finger-wagging at how dare they feel that they can do this. They are fantastic. They are one of the oldest civilizations on this planet, and they are incredibly capable of doing anything they want, but they can't do everything all the time. So certainly technologists are looking when they see what China may be coming up with, and a lot of this is what fuels and funds and keeps people in the American intelligence community awake at nights, analyzing and trying to evaluate where are they really going to major. And at the moment, their space station program is achieving success. It's at a lower pace than they had wanted to achieve it because they're running into technological problems, as every agency does on that level, and it's going to go slower, a lot slower. There may come a time, particularly in this polarization of vertical hierarchical control in their communist system that we've now seen recently with their new congressional polarization around the supreme leader. Those words never used previously since the days of Mao Zedong. It's coming down to fewer and fewer and fewer people at the top making decisions about what that country will do and what it will invest in. Will there come a point where they decide they've achieved enough to gain the major propaganda value of space? Or are they committed in the long term as part of their cultural inheritance of being the oldest civilization to carry humans further into space than any of the competing world nations have ever been able to achieve? $64,000 question. Nobody knows. So I think that's very important when we look and try to assess China's role. It's very easy to get monopolar vision and just think space, rockets, launchers, astronauts, and objectives.
Yeah.
But how is it going to be paid for? This is what has kept NASA's budget flatlined for 10 years. The fact that that reality check has been the very reason why now we are not on Mars and why yet we are probably 7 years away from the first manned flight of an Orion.
Wow. I mean, is there any chance that there's an empty seat for China at an international effort to Deep Space Gateway and the trip to Mars?
I have not seen any single independent space agency around the world that does not want China to be a colleague, a cooperative partner, and NASA would desperately love to get China much closer to what they are doing, as would the European Space Agency. The Russians are certainly already there. But, of course, we have a political structure which tends to take a different view. And the American Congress prohibits NASA, by act of Congress, not to discuss cooperative ventures at anything other than a very median and low-level approach to China. And the visits that Bolden made, the previous NASA administrator, the one before the current acting administrator, he had to find financial resources outside of NASA's budget. I think it came by the State Department, to go to China and keep a friendly contact going, shake hands and say, we hope we can work to have you on board. We want you there internationally with us. So it's the persuasive powers of Congress that have persuaded the government to hold fast and not to allow discussions. So every space agency wants it, and I don't see anyone that doesn't.
So is there a chance that Congress could turn around and say, OK, we're going to lift this ban? What was needed to do that?
I think it would require a readjustment of political parties within Congress. It's been almost centuries since, and there are not too many of those in American history, but it's been a very long time since we had such tight balancing of both the Republican and the Democratic parties. And there is consensus across the political divide for many of the government programs in the United States. And the majority of congressmen and women for years now have, on average, represented 75 to 80% of those are dreadfully accusatory when it comes to China's human rights. And they keep on repeating this mantra that until China significantly changes the way it treats people and it treats countries and organizations involved with, and Tibet and places like that, that it's not going to allow this to carry on, and that these discussions can be held at low level, but that there must be no dealing and that there must be no working collectively together. And they link human rights directly with approval for conducting these maturing partnerships that are just waiting to happen. And we see it with ITAR as well. And I think since 9/11, there has been a progressive tightening up of security in the United States. It shows no obvious end to the increasing strictures which are placed upon it. And we have a situation right now where even British and European professional scientists and engineers who are working agreed and funded international ventures with NASA field centers or NASA-funded companies in America have to go through the most extraordinary security screening, and we are in a situation now where no non-U.S. citizen is allowed to go unescorted around any U.S. government facility, NASA included.
Yeah, so in short, not very likely.
Not very likely in short, but everybody wants it.
Yeah, it's almost tragic, isn't it, that because that would presumably be an incredible boost to human space flight and exploration of space.
Yes, it would. I think it's needed. The Chinese have a tremendous contribution to make, and if we isolate, we box them into a corner, and no good comes of that kind of behaviour. No,
absolutely. I think this is about time we should wrap it up, David. Otherwise, I'll have a super long episode. But that's gone places where I didn't think we would go, and it's and we've gone pretty much a very zoomed out global view. So thank you very much for
thank you.
Educating me again.
Well, no, Matt, it's always very nice talking with you with this.
The Interplanetary Podcast, putting the ace back into space.
We've got some great interviews coming up. Next week's show will have a fantastic one.
I want you to give me a space fact that will not just blow my mind, but might blow my soul.
Yeah. Blow your soul. I had that with a cheap pair of shoes.
I thought you were going to say it's the name of one of your albums.
Oh, well, Blow My Soul.
It does sound like an Oasis album,
It's a bit of a
doesn't it?
heavy metal album title, actually, I think, Blow My Soul.
This one's called Blow Your Soul. Are you mad for it?
That's good.
Cheers.
Okay, space fact time.
Here we go.
On January the 11th, 2013, the University of Central Lancashire, that's up north. In fact, pretty much the accent that you were just doing just then, an Oasis accent.
True.
They discovered the Huge LQG, the Huge Large Quasar Group.
Oh yeah,
which isn't a prog rock band, but it should be. It's a collection.
Yeah, there's 12 of them, and each song lasts 16 hours.
The Huge Large Quasar Group. Oh my god, that's genius, isn't it? For they were huge, but it is huge. I mean, when I tell you it's 4 billion light years from end to end.
Whoa.
So at that point, it was the largest structure in the universe. Absolutely enormous. 73 quasars, and it spanned 1.6 billion light years in most directions, but this one, 4 billion light years from end to end. Bear in mind, look, get this, so the Milky Way, our galaxy, not our solar system, our galaxy is only 100,000 light years across. So you can imagine that 4 billion light years across is just unimaginably large. In fact, it's so large that it kind of really actually genuinely throws up a bit of a problem, because it violates the assumption that the cosmological principle makes, that the universe is essentially homogeneous or homogeneous when viewed at a sufficiently large scale. So it kind of is just ridiculously huge, but Jamie, if you think that space fact is mind-blowing enough, 1 year later, the pesky Americans discovered...
what have they done now?
Discovered, in fact, it was Americans and Hungarians, just to rub salt in the wound, or rub smoked paprika into the wound. They discovered the Hercules Corona Borealis Great Wall, or the Great GRB Wall.
Build that wall. Build that wall.
And apparently this thing's twice the size. It's like twice the size. So 8 billion light years from end to end.
My God.
So, yeah.
They had to go one better, didn't they?
And again, this was, I think this was discovered by one of the GROs, the Gamma Ray Observatory's successor, the SWIFT. And it was the SWIFT Gamma Ray Burst mission that discovered this Hercules Corona Borealis Great Wall. So well done, SWIFT.
Well done.
So there's two very big things out there, Jamie.
Do you know what, Matt? Once I went to Alaska, just hopped over there, just swan about for a bit, and I went into a national park called Denali, very beautiful, and I met a litter of little huskies. And one of them was called Swift, and he was my favourite one. And he had a little name tag on saying Swift. I might send you the photo to put it up on the blog, Matt.
Was another one,
so people can go, "Aww."
Was another one called Spitzer?
No,
I mean, ace if the
unfortunately
Huskies had been named after really cool satellites, space observatories.
Or just one of them called Borealis.
Borealis would have been a good name as well. Swift.
Yeah, that's true.
Swift's a good name for a husky, isn't it?
Swift's a good name.
Let's stick that up. So, Jamie...
Yeah, I'll send you the photo, yeah.
Let's wrap this one up. Let's wrap this baby up.
Let's wrap it up. And there's something that people do need to do. I don't go on about it, but if you go over to iTunes and you sort of give us, 5 stars and tell us honestly, we're not putting words into your mouth, but if you've enjoyed the show that's for free, then, maybe leave a little review. It will take you how long, Matt, will it take someone to do that?
I reckon it would take maybe 2 minutes.
I reckon it will take 2 minutes, and it's your way of saying thanks to us, and it means the world.
Absolutely. And as I've said, interact with us on Twitter, because we love it, and most of that stuff is the stuff that makes it onto the show, to be honest.
Exactly. So if you want to be on the show, get yourself onto Twitter.
Yeah, you can just come on.
Or Instagram. We're down with the kids. We're on the gram. We put loads of grammable stuff.
Yeah. Actually, I mean, we could do with
I've
people.
taught Matt how to hashtag. So
big time.
Which Matt now knows is a search tool. It's not just to say something funny. Do you reckon anyone's searching for gamma ray burst missions? There must be other people out there like us. All right, Matt. Well, listen, you look after yourself. I know you're off to a party now. I'd like you to drink responsibly.
Yep.
And, have a good time. Have a good weekend, everybody.
And you. Everybody. Bye.
Ta-ta.
See you soon. Bye.
Bye now.
Bye now.
Bye now.